this to me, as a JP player, makes me extremely happy. Because the way this went, we got this in Season 2, this in Season 3, this in Season 4. And now this is all stuff we're getting in Season 2, accompanied with the Tropical Retreat event, which was in Season 3, and also Guild Boss, which was Season 5 that it came out. So, to me, seeing all this new content is great. And of course, Raid is out on Asia servers, will be out for you guys on Reset, on US, all of those servers, whenever it is. I think it should be out on EU soon. I think in a couple hours. So, we're looking good. Now, this raid is different to the Betelgeuse raid, where they kind of switch back and forth to giving the SSR skill page dupes and character dupes. So this one is going to be giving one skill page dupe, which is good, right? It's good, but I think overall for this one especially, I think a lot of people are going to be happy with the other rewards. So let's start off with talking about the phases, how they work, and then we're going to go into the shops where you should be prioritizing. But now I think what's a lot better is that your accounts are more built up, so you should be able to focus more on part 5 and 6 compared to a lot of people I saw in my comments focusing mainly on part 4. So to note that the day after, whenever we're able to unlock part 6, I will be basically showing you guys how to clear 5 and 6 mainly. Now, of course, these are just the best teams right now, but of course, I do like to update it just in case I didn't give the best teams that you could run for this. So please just watch out for that video when I release my how to clear part 5 and 6 very soon. So let's explain phase 1, or just like first the boss itself, how it works. The main thing is that every time you attack it, it changes colors. So this one goes from red to green to blue, and this one goes from green to this one goes from just green to blue to red. Okay, so it goes in that order, so like same order, but it's mainly going to change very few things, because obviously every time you hit it, it's going to change. And you got to note, when you hit it with a combo, it's going to change twice. Every hit counts. So a combo, if you have 2 combo attacks in there, it's going to change the color twice. So that is something that you could use to your advantage. So overall, the colors don't really mean anything in this. It's just about playing around the colors that will make this pretty important, I guess. Now, phase 1, it's mainly DLTs, right? So you see DLTs, and then it's extending DLTs, removing buffs on the enemies. So you really got to get to it before the ultimate goes off, which obviously in the top left corner, there's an ultimate bar. So that is the important thing. And here, there's something up with that, but yeah, it's going to be applying a lot of DLTs mainly for the first boss, and every DLT is going to be doing a lot more damage. So I'd say overall, Ghost, if you want to use him on the first part, not a bad idea. Okay, not a bad idea, but not really needed as long as you clear him pretty quickly. Now, part 2 is going to be mainly the main gimmick that I find annoying, is this one right here, Body Enhancement, where it applies damage reduction, increased speed, and then removes all debuffs and grants debuff immunity. Okay, so the way I see the debuff immunity part, for some reason on JP, if you apply enough debuffs, usually sometimes it won't proc, or it won't like be as effective. So you usually on the second part, you want to try and get as many debuffs as you can before he applies this. But besides that, he doesn't really have too much. He applies some debuffs, but he really is not that bad. It's just this. And then obviously he has charges. So for him, unless it's changed, where would you see that? I think it's this, but I'm not really too sure. There's charges, and after the charge, obviously he goes for his ultimate. So you're going to see it when you go inside the boss, which we'll talk about a bit more later. Not later, but in the next video, right? And that's going to be the thing you either want to avoid or just kind of tank. So that's like the main thing that I could say for that. So those are the two bosses for PLAITCHIDNA. Okay, I thought it was Flickidna because translations are rough, but I guess it is PLAITCHIDNA. So there you go. We got the official English name. So those are the two phases, okay? I think phase 2 is the more annoying one, but we have Julius, so it's fine. Now, let's go to the shops and then talk about some teams. So I would recommend getting the daily purchases of Stamina and Yule first, and then you go in whatever order you want, as long as you are able to ensure that you get the enhanced skill page dupe. So really, I think Stamina, Yule, and then go for the skill page, and then get the skill materials if you can, because these dupes are the rarest material in the game, so I think it's very important to get these. But you could still definitely get these, especially if your account isn't like 2 weeks old, like it was for the Betelgeuse raid. I think you should be fine to clear these, because I'm going to offer many different DPSs, and the supports are pretty, you could like kind of vary them. So I think overall, this one's a lot better, it's going to be easier in my eyes. They didn't add part 7, right? There's no parts. There is part 7. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. I don't know how many people will be able to get to that point, but we're going to have to see. Okay, but I think the food is definitely going to be last, and make sure you never accidentally buy this one. Okay, just make sure. But stamina first priority, gold if you need it, and then dupes, and then the skill materials. I would say start off with these. For some reason, personally, I feel like we need these the most. Obviously, because of the fact that for level 1, 2, and 3, I think it only takes the yellow ones, right? So, or it might only be 1 and 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. But these are definitely the ones you want to start off with. Then you go this and this. And it takes 60 each. So it's honestly not really that expensive. But it's there, right? To be fair, Guild Boss has just given us a lot more. So there is that. But make sure at the bare minimum, especially, like most people should be able to easily get this, but this one should be the one that you are targeting in my eyes. But yeah, this one is honestly really fun, animations wise too. I do enjoy it. I think we could see like a little tidbit. I'm not going into it because it's not my account, but I just, I feel like this gimmick is pretty fun. And I mean, now that our accounts are more built, it's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to be offering 5 different DPSs to use mainly. You could obviously do whatever you want, but I'm just like giving you my recommendations. So the best teams for, I'd say, part 1, or just either of the parts, right? You could like interchange them, is going to be basically the nuking team. So I put it for 1 and 2, and basically it's Yami, Asta, or Raya. You could do either or. All 3 of them work, right? And basically how it works is that you want a person who could apply defense and incapacitate lower. Then you've got someone who applies the attack up with some other buffs, and then you got an all attack buffer. There's Ghost, there's Sally, and then I don't think he has him. I'll show you right now. There's also Kahono who gives all attack, and then Gifso, which is probably the best all attack buffer because of how much he gives. So those are the 4 all attack buffers. Do you need the all attack slot? Not necessarily, especially for Raya. You could just run Rhodes. You could put Rhodes. Anyone who gives extra buffs, especially because Raya just gets extra damage per buff, doesn't matter which buff. So as long as you have triple buffs, right, could be literally just Rhodes. This team will still be able to cook as long as your Raya is still decently built. So the first team I offer is nuking, okay? I'd say this is probably the best one. Finneroll, most people have. You should have gotten by the 999 at the very minimum, right? Charlotte is free. You have one of the 3 DPSs, Asta, Yami, or Raya, right? And even at that, I mean, is there any, you could use Jack, I guess, but should you? No. Do you have the resources to? No. And then the last slot is either an all attack buffer, like I mentioned, right? And then, yeah, now you could also use William here, but it might mess up the turn order. So, you know, there is that. Okay, now the second team is this. This one is going to be quite a pretty simple one, I guess, to make. Julius, most people have. Then you've got Lotus, and then you've got Mars, and then Nebra. So Nebra, a lot of people do have. And I think the buff block will become very handy in the second phase. You could try it out. I'm going to confirm or deny this once I try it out, okay? In the comments, either you guys let me know or I myself will update it if the buff block does not work. Now, other people who do have buff block is Rill, who else? Catherine, and I feel like there's someone else. I feel like there's someone else, Nozel. So those are the 3 people that have buff block that will make it for especially the second phase become kind of worthless. Now, quickly, I do want to kind of go back. Actually, no, we're going to talk about the turn orders after. I'll do it in that order so it doesn't become messy. But this is team 2/3/4 depending, because obviously I gave 3 DPSs that you could use for the nuke team. Now, this one should work, but this one does probably take a lot more investment, but a lot of these units you should have built. So it's basically just a stalling team, especially for the second phase. You could easily work your way with this. Charmy applies defense increase, keeps on healing, gives SP points. Mars taunts, speed. No, you wouldn't speed lower because there's no Lotus. But mainly taunts, tanks, right? All of that good stuff. And then you got Mimosa, who could res, increase the buff duration, heal, right? And then Noel obviously giving the barrier and doing the main damage. So this is a team that should work. I've seen it work. So yeah, these are like the 3 main teams that I'm offering right now. And I think a lot of people, like, it does use a different amount of people. Like, this is completely different to this, and this is quite different to this too. So I'd say, like, to me, this is like the best type of teams that you're gonna be getting. So for this team, the best way to use it is going to be actually with like this. So you want to put Charlotte with the DPS, do defense into incapacitate, him go for the ult second, okay? And you would go Finneroll ult first to get the crit rate, which would give the damage increase on the skill 2. And then for Ghost, I would recommend it does depend, but if you're above 80%, you could start off with the skill 1 into the skill 2 or go counterclockwise. The other way around doesn't really matter. So this is like how it would go. But let's say you're with Raya, maybe you would want to do this instead. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, but just use the buffs that work and make it work, right? So this is how I would go for this. Charlotte, the combo needs to be second because of the fact that Incapacitate is only 1 turn. Make sure Yami is last, and then you're good to go. And this goes for all 3 of the DPSs, Raya and also Asta, okay? Skill 2 first, ult second, because you're going to have all of the buffs at that point. Now for this team, okay, I would recommend using the skill 2 first into the ultimate. Here, buff block obviously into the combo, then skill 2 into the, ult into the skill 2. Then into the skill 1, and then Mars could be the speed into just the taunt forever. I think the taunt is very useful, much better than the defense lower because of the fact Nebra also gives defense lower. So I'd say this is how you would use this team. And then for this team, I would recommend using barrier first into, actually, you could use ult into barrier, but if this doesn't work, then just switch it up. Then Mimosa, I would say you could just go this. You could put the skill 1 first and then ult last. And then for Mars, and you could do this on auto most likely. For Mars, I would say that either just spamming the taunt is maybe a way to go, or you could just use skill 2 and then into the taunt. And then Charmy is probably the best way to go. So that's basically how I do it for these teams. I will update you guys on what you guys should be doing in a more when we're actually at phase 6, right? Because obviously, sure, it's on JP, but I use different units. And also, my units are much stronger on JP, so I don't think it's a fair comparison. And also, I'm not preparing for this video that much in advance, so that's another thing. So, let me know if this helps you guys out. Obviously, phase 1 to 3 is not going to be that difficult, but yeah, that's basically it. I'm very happy that, like, to me, this is pretty, like, this is nice. It's a lot, but it's nice, okay? Because on JP, there just wasn't enough, and now there's more than enough. So, I'm pretty happy about that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.